If you are thinking about moving to Temecula or you are a resident in Temecula, you're not gonna wanna miss this video. Today we're at one of my favorite restaurants, Corkfire Kitchen, right here in Temecula, and I have a treat for you. I am interviewing the mayor of Temecula, Brandon Kalfas, and you're not gonna wanna miss this. There's a lot of insight that we're gonna bring you right now. He says some very interesting things. Let's go check it out. All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down and answer a few questions for us. I think we'll start because, this channel is primarily watched by people that either live in Temecula or they're thinking of moving here. So for you as someone who has grown up here, now as, the mayor, you work for the fire department, you know a lot about the valley here in Temecula. What can people expect when they are moving here to Temecula as far as, raising a family, living here, commuting, just overall vibe of living in Temecula? What can they expect if they're going to move here?
I think the best part about Temecula is really a safe, family-oriented community. Growing up here, everyone always said Temecula is a little bubble. And as soon as you graduate high school, you want to get out of that bubble. And you go experience the world and you realize how amazing Temecula is. And I think one of the truly unique things about Temecula is it's maintained that safe and family-oriented community for decades. We just had our 35-year anniversary last year, the city of Temecula, and it's still that safe, family-oriented community. Where you see a lot of older communities in Orange County and LA County in the Bay Area, they kind of lose that charm and lose that hometown, small town feel. Where Temecula is unique, where we kept that feel. We kept the safe community. We're huge police and fire. That's our number one source that we fund from our general fund as a city. But we also put a lot of time and energy and finances into our parks. So we have beautiful parks and recreations for the kids and summer camps and camps all year long. And I think the leadership of the city for the last decades have really put, police and fire, parks and recs, as well as beautification throughout the city with the trees and the roads that we have. So all of those things really draw people to Temecula to maintain that family-oriented community.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too, and that's one of the things when people move here, and it's tough because from a position of someone who is quote-unquote a salesperson, it's tough not to be viewed as you're just trying to sell the city, but it's true. Temecula is a relatively young city, as compared to, like you mentioned, areas of San Diego or Orange County where maybe those areas were incorporated 50, 60, 70 years ago. Temecula is still relatively new, young. Everything that's been built is all relatively new. But like you had mentioned, the tax funds that have come in seem to have really been allocated to things that the residents can really benefit from, and from the planning to the implementation of, building the infrastructure. Tell me a little bit about what goes into those decisions. How do you decide where the money goes?
Yep, absolutely. So we actually passed a measure called Measure S in 2016, I believe, where it was a sales tax increase essentially on everyone that comes and visits the city or lives in the city. Whatever you purchase, there's an extra sales tax on top of what you already pay. And Californians always say, hey, we're taxed enough. But the unique thing about this sales tax was that all those funds stay in Temecula. We don't have to go pay the state or the feds. They all stay in Temecula. And with those funds, we focus solely on public safety. That was our biggest marketing tactic, if you will, for Measure S, was, hey, we're going to fund our police, we're going to fund our fire, and we're going to be able to keep up our infrastructure. And that sales tax alone has an excess of millions of dollars that we've been able to put towards having more police officers, having new apparatus in our fire, and having four firefighters on our fire engines and fire trucks at all time, which was unique to Riverside County at that time. So we've used those taxpayers' dollars and we've put them, like you said, into places that we know the citizens care about most. Police, fire, and infrastructure in our parks. Those are our main things. So we pride ourselves on having a safe community and being able to provide that opportunity for growth and to raise a family in the city of Temecula.
I love it. And you'd mentioned this tax that stays within Temecula. Over the last probably 15 years, maybe really the last 10 years, we've seen Temecula kind of become a destination for tourism, with all the wineries. I think now, I don't know off the top of my head, do you know roughly how many wineries there are now?
There's just over 50, I believe.
Just over 50 now.
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of wineries. We're sitting here at Corkfire Kitchen on a beautiful golf course. There's a lot of golfing. People come here now for tourism. How do you foresee moving forward and what the city has done over the last 5-10 years? How do you balance between being just a tourist destination where you've maybe got a lot of people incoming that don't live here? How do you balance that with also being this sort of, for lack of a better word, maybe far suburb of maybe like a San Diego or something, to where it's still family friendly, it's still a family environment? How do you balance those two things?
Yeah, and Temecula's, like you said, it's an interesting location because we're in between LA, we're in between Orange County.
Yes.
We're not Napa Valley Winery, but the wine country's only gotten better and better. In the wine country, actually, we get 0% sales revenue from anything in the wine country because it's technically unincorporated Temecula. So anything that the wineries make, and anything, same with Pechanga since they're sovereign land, zero sales tax from those two, which are big drawers of people to come into our city.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so we need to, and that's why Old Town is a huge draw for people.
Sure.
The wineries close at 5 or 6 p.m. We want to funnel them into Temecula. And they also stay at the hotels in Temecula where we get the transient occupant tax, the TOT tax. But it is an absolute balance. And I think the biggest thing that we can do as leadership in the city is maintain that safety and that family-oriented community. Because we have a lot of young families moving here, and we need to keep that. We need to keep those families here, and we need to also figure out a way to make it affordable for those that are raising families for their kids to stay here when they grow up and if they want to move back. So maintaining that balance where, hey, it's not just they come here and they're here for a little bit and they leave, they don't come back, but making sure they come back and they enjoy it, but also making it so that we have the great schools so people want to stay and live and raise a family here.
Yeah.
But it's a huge balance between just being a destination spot and coming and leaving and having that quick turnover.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. You want people to come and feel like they're welcome and eventually maybe make their way to become a resident if it makes sense for them. You mentioned real briefly just the word affordability. When it comes to housing, right, it's been a big issue, not just in California, but nationwide. But if we're talking about Temecula and the surrounding area and housing affordability, obviously there's things that are outside of your control or local government control, things like interest rates and things like that. But when it comes to trying to do something to make housing more affordable, not only for people that want to purchase a home, but maybe people that are going to rent, is there anything on the horizon for you guys, or how do you tackle that issue? Is there anything you can do? What does that look like from the mayor's standpoint?
And housing is probably the biggest topic, if not the top 3 topics in city council. And we have individuals that are very forthcoming with their thoughts on housing. And housing, it's a huge issue, right? Mm-hmm. Maintaining affordability in Temecula and surrounding areas is tough. In Temecula, we're at a point where we're pretty built out. We have a few plots of land that the city still owns. Everything else is private land that they choose what they want to develop on it. We just choose the zoning in which they're able to do. But so the big thing that we have control over as city council is zoning. Whether we zone it for housing or we zone it for commercial, that allows for different developments to come in. And another thing that we've seen since COVID is really commercial real estate, and you would know better than anyone, has kind of come down. Yeah. So they're looking at reinvigorating those areas where, hey, this may have been a huge commercial boom a while ago, but now maybe we transform that into housing. Maybe we take those old buildings that are no longer being utilized, that haven't been leased for months and years on end, and we transition that into a housing development. So those are things that we can do as city council to kind of bring more supply, because the demand's always going to be there.
Yes.
And people want to, I think Riverside County is the most moved to county in all of California in the last couple of years. And people want to be here because there's more land, there's more space, it's family friendly, it's safe, like the things that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So there's things that we can do from those perspectives to make sure that these areas are zoned the way they should be zoned to increase the housing supply, which would hopefully bring down or at least stabilize the pricing. But we have to, at the same time, make sure that we're implementing communities that the Temecula residents want and the Temecula residents need. Speaking
of communities, what can you tell us about let's make this a twofold question. What can you tell us about maybe some upcoming communities that are in the works that maybe you can share if you can. And same on the development side. Is there anything from maybe the commercial, or people are always excited about a new restaurant or a new shopping center, and you can take those one at a time. But is there anything you can share with us that's coming down the pipe that people should get excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're developing, we call it the Uptown area. So it's right off Jefferson, kind of near the car wash up there. So all along Jefferson, on the north side of Jefferson, we're building all that area up to be more commercial and more housing. We actually have an RFP that went out for a new housing development right there off Jefferson and in the French Valley exit there. So we're developing all that to be more housing. We want to bring that up to almost Old Town standard, but just make it longer and bigger. So we're really excited about the whole Uptown project that's coming along. We've been approving projects throughout the last couple of years there. There's a new affordable housing project that went in there a couple months ago. It opened. So that's a great area coming. But I know in the Target shopping center, that a lot of that industrial commercial area has gone down the last couple of years. So we're looking at transitioning that maybe into a new housing development.
Really?
More apartments and for rent or for sale apartments in there. Something that hopefully down the road we can increase the supply like we're talking about in Temecula, because there's only so much land.
Yeah.
But we need to start thinking, how do we change this? How do we bring this back to life? And that could be an area that sees that potential.
Perfect. Well, I don't want to keep it too much longer, but I have a couple questions for someone that's been born and raised here. Give me a couple, and we'll kind of lighten it up a little bit. Give me a couple of your favorite, maybe wineries, restaurants, entertainment spots. I mean, if you're going to go out on a Saturday night and go have a nice meal, what are a couple spots that you might consider?
Yep, I think my number one is the Goat and Vine. I love the Goat and Vine. I love Corkfire too, Corkfires, but Goat and Vine is our number one. We love coming to Corkfire. We love the Small Barn. Those are like mine and my wife's date night spots. We love Gambling Cowboy too. That's probably our anniversary spot that we always go to.
Love it.
As far
steak.
The best steak. And as far as wineries, we used to be members at Europa. We're no longer members there because she was pregnant for about 10 years, so I was the only one drinking all the wine.
Yeah, that's a lot of wine to have to drink on your own, for sure.
So I love Europa. I love Wilson Creek. I love South Coast. We have so many great wineries. It's hard to pick one, but we like to venture to a bunch of different ones all the time. And
I love it. So what about, let me see. So we got the dinner spot taken care of. We got the wineries. What about a breakfast spot?
I love Toast.
Toast, okay.
Yeah, Toast is great. We heard Brunch House is a new one that we heard is a great spot.
Yes,
I haven't been there yet.
Been there either, yeah.
We love the Swing Inn. Swing Inn's a great spot too.
It's a classic, right?
And the Coffee Shop. The Coffee Shop's another great one in Old Town.
Yes, Old Town. That's right, yeah. Swing Inn's one of those restaurants that has been here for probably as long as you can remember, I would guess. Right?
Yes.
Was it there when you were a kid?
It was, yep. They have actually new ownership in the last 5 or so years, who's kind of brought back a whole new barbecue scene and all that. But
it's interesting, yeah. That's one of the actor, right, that bought it?
Yes.
Dean
Norris.
Dean Norris, yes. Yeah. Breaking Bad and a lot of other stuff. Very cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to touch on while I got you here. Because I did have a couple people asking me questions from Instagram saying, hey, can you ask the mayor this or that? Minor league teams, I know this is kind of side note here, but any plans, any talks, anything that people can get excited about, or is that maybe too far in the future? Baseball,
I would love
hockey?
a minor league team. That sounds awesome. I haven't heard of any plans coming down.
Okay,
I
not yet.
played minor league baseball, so I would love to have a minor league team here.
It would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Cool. I know the Storm's not too far down the freeway, but it'd be cool to have our own minor league team.
Yep, that or even like a Field of Dreams for the Little League kids. That'd be awesome to have
cool.
a Field of Dreams. I think the closest one is Chino Hills, but to have a Field of Dreams would be
pretty really cool.
I'm a big baseball fan, so everything I always but I try to take my bias out of it and say what's best for the community as well.
Sure, yeah. That would be really cool if we could get something minor league. If you do go to a city to go and get away, is San Diego the first spot for you? Do you go up to Orange County? Do you have a spot? Because this is kind of a town where it's in the middle of everything. You got Palm Springs. Do you have a favorite destination that is not too far away?
I would probably say San Diego is probably our number one. But the thing about Temecula is when we come to Temecula, we like to stay in Temecula.
Sure.
And everyone always talks about the traffic getting in and out. And with our 5 kids, we usually stay in and around Temecula, so we don't venture too much outside. But if we had to go somewhere, it'd probably be San Diego.
You brought up, I almost forgot. So this traffic issue, right? That's the biggest complaint I think when I talk to people that live here locally. if they have one complaint, it's traffic. And I know the city is doing things to try to address that, right? When you have so many people moving here all at once because it's such a great place to be, you're going to have traffic, and we're in Southern California. So I try to remind people of that. I'm sure you do too. But give me a couple plans for traffic. How are we addressing it? I know Winchester Road, there's a lot of construction there, but
Yes.
I'll let you expand on
Yep. So currently we have French Valley Phase 2, which is the 15 and 215 interchange. We're actually going to be opening that up in the next couple months. So that'll have a huge impact, hopefully, on the traffic. A beautiful new overpass, and hopefully that alleviates some traffic. We also put in one auxiliary lane on the 15, so 15 northbound right now between the 79 and Rancho California. We added one additional lane. This year and next year we're going to add an additional 3 lanes on both the north side and the south side of the 15. So an extra auxiliary lane, French Valley Phase 2, those are hopefully things that alleviate some of this traffic we're seeing.
For me as a local resident, explain a little bit about the French Valley Phase 2. So what is it, off and on ramp, or just one or the other, or what? Do you know exactly what's going on there?
So we have a huge, I have to look at the exact thing, I'm trying to, a mind blank on it, but there's going to be a new overpass for the 215 to get on and off.
Okay, that'll go over.
Yep, you'll see right now, you'll see the new bridge between the 15 and the 215 where the Murrieta Triangle is.
Yes, okay, right in that section.
Right in that
kind of
section.
near, okay, where the freeway's kind of
Yes.
split there. Okay, and so that'll help alleviate some of the on and off, because I know people seem to have the biggest issues with Murrieta Hot Springs, right? That's always kind of backed up, and then obviously Winchester Road, because that's those 2 main on and off ramps right there for most people. So definitely stuff in the works, right? But again, there's only so much that can be done with this many people all living in one spot, right?
Yes.
So.
Yep. And that's been a big thing, is how do we keep the individuals that are working here living here, right? Having housing for the workforce. Take those individuals that are commuting, like myself who commutes to Orange County, how do we keep them in Temecula? More people off the road, less traffic.
Sure.
It's kind of changing the whole perspective of how commuting and all of that works.
Yeah.
But it's a regional approach, right? It's not just Temecula. We have to get it with our partners in Murrieta and Menifee to have a regional approach to the traffic issue.
And you bring up a good point in regards to commuting. How can we keep more people here? Do you foresee, obviously as Temecula grows, there's going to be more and more jobs that open up. But I think that's another thing that sometimes people say, Temecula is an awesome place to live, but I still have to drive to San Diego. I still have to drive to Orange County for my job. Do you see more and more industries opening up here that's going to keep people where it's a work and live in Temecula?
I do, yeah. We have our commercial area. A lot of high-paying jobs and businesses are out there. So figuring out a way to draw those businesses that have those high-paying jobs to Temecula. So off Diaz Road's all of our industrial area. Get in those with great businesses that hold great careers for people and able to keep them here. But also it's a huge thing with like teachers and nurses and firefighters and police officers. Figuring out a way for them to live where they work is a huge issue. And that goes back to the housing affordability.
That's something you have first-hand experience with, right?
Yes.
Having to commute to the job there.
Yep. Yeah. So figuring out a way to keep everyone in Temecula is a big issue that we're facing, and we're figuring out how to do that.
To do it. I love it. Well, I appreciate your time, and I know everyone watching appreciates your time, and we're looking forward to everything you guys have planned. And I know as a resident here, been here now probably about 13 years, I'm excited for the future. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
I appreciate you having me.